Is it just me, or does everything feel kind of fake? And I'm not just talking about fashion, I'm kind of talking about everything cultural. So fashion, arts, food, music, movies, everything. Disclaimer, I kind of assume this will be one of the most rambling, unfocused, ranty videos I've ever done. If you like that kind of thing, stick around and we'll just have a chat. And second asterisk I'll put on this video, I don't want to be too negative. I see a lot of negativity on like YouTube, just like everything sucks. And I don't mean this to be that kind of video. I actually, stick around towards the end because I think every dark cloud has a silver lining. But it's just been something I've been thinking about a lot, and I kind of wanted to make a video talking about all of it. The other thing is, my channel is supposed to be dedicated to fashion, and I will talk about that, but I guess I also bleed into other cultural things, as I'm a participant in culture, as I'm sure you all are. We don't just sit in our houses all day buying stuff on Ukes, but maybe we should. So this is my attempt to confuse the YouTube algorithm about what my channel is about as much as possible. But hey, this video is kind of about the algorithm anyway, spoiler alert, so let's just get into it, huh? But before I do, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks. So I'm going to take a real weird way into this, but it'll all make sense, I hope. The other day I was looking at just like restaurants near me, I got served an ad on Instagram for like a restaurant opening near me. And I like restaurants. I like to eat within reason. And this restaurant, I'm going to pull it up. I'm not going to dox the restaurant, but I want to just talk about what they have on offer. So their number one thing seems to be smash burger and chopped cheese, okay? Pretty basic. Chopped cheese is basically just chopped up cheeseburger. Big back store. But they also got waffles, crepes, and milkshakes. Milkshakes and burgers go together pretty well. Waffles and crepes are maybe a little bit of a curveball, but hey, we'll take it. They're also selling fajitas, gyros, and rice platters. So we got a halal bent to things. And then, along with that, acai bowls, smoothies, and fresh juice. What is that? I'm gonna get an acai bowl from the place that's selling my chopped cheese? Maybe that's a New York City thing. I mean, I know like a lot of bodegas are kind of everything to everybody, but I'm not in New York City. So it's just very random. And then quesadillas, wraps, deli sandwiches, and paninis. So just all food, any and any food under the sun. And I actually, maybe you guys can help me out with this, because, like I said, this is a weird way into the video, because something about this rubbed me very much the wrong way, and I can't tell you what it is. For all I know, this is like a small mom and pop store, so I'm not trying to throw them under the bus, but something stuck out to me, because I've seen now 2 places in my town open up with a similar vibe. There was already a place that kind of was like a deli, but had like a halal bent to it. They're not selling acai bowls, for God's sake, but kind of this idea of it being like everything to everyone, like no stone left unturned. And it got me thinking about the algorithm, right? And how it's kind of infected everything that we engage with, to the point that everything is starting to feel artificial to me. I look at that place that just opened and I don't see any connective thread for any of it. It just kind of feels like a shotgun method of throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. Hey, don't worry. You don't like chopped cheese? We got smoothies. We got fresh juice. We got rice platters for you. We got crepes. What the hell are we doing here? And also, like I said, this is the most scattered video of all time. I don't know that this fits in perfectly with the other things that I'm gonna talk about, but let's put a pin in that. Let's circle back to it. All right. So let me get in here talking about fashion, which is ostensibly what this channel is about. I think what's bothering me these days about everything kind of feeling fake kind of plays into, we've perfected how to get people to buy into something. If you didn't see my video last week about Kith Ivy, I'd recommend maybe taking a look at that, because this definitely touches on some of that stuff with the collaborations that Kith does that kind of don't make sense to me. Collaborations between, fashion brands, nothing new, but it definitely, I think, exploded within the last 5 to 10 years, but we'll say 5 years just to make it clean. Going back to, I'm doing a lot with my hands. I'm Italian, I guess. Going back to COVID times, that was when resale and like sneaker culture was really exploding, and everyone was kind of like becoming a reseller themselves, buying these like sought after and limited release collabs and sneakers in general. And it was huge, and it's kind of fallen off a little bit. But I think in that moment, we were seeing a real, brands just kind of doing any collab they want. Like any collab would sell out instantly. It's funny because, Jordan 1s were huge back then. And I think the Gatorade collab that they did kind of came right before the big, hype pop off of both those things. And it was not a huge seller. So then once we crossed over into like this new era, you would see things like the Chunky Dunkies. I remember those coming out and being like, it's like a shoe for children. I thought it was pretty lame. And boy, do I wish I'd gotten my hands on them, because let's just say other people disagree to the tune of several $1,000s. They've released a cheeseburger Jordan 1 mid that I actually think is kind of dope, that's similar. So my attitude has changed too. But I think in that moment, we kind of saw the big wigs at these, the sneaker places at least, but all streetwear and fashion going like, Virgil's The 10 was another collaboration that was like hugely popular and influential. Yeezy, Adidas. So I say this as like a kernel of like how the fashion industry works and how they create these collaborations, and how they saw that anything you slap a collab on, it instantly raises the resale value, the hype, like I wouldn't even say twofold, like tenfold. You know what I mean? Nigel Sylvester more recently. And while the Jordan 1 hype has certainly died off, streetwear in general I'd say has died off, brands like Kith are still very much like doing this formula of just like churning out these collaborations that in my opinion don't super duper make sense. Again, the Rugrats one I brought up recently, though someone said that that's a little legacy because they used to do one with Kith treats, whatever. I also made a video on the flat sneaker trend a little while ago. It's not the best video, but check it out, why not? And I talked about how Amiri was jumping on the flat sneaker trend with their Pacific flat. Neat shoe, maybe not my vibe. But just more recently, Rick Owens created a flat sneaker. And I've noticed Rick does this. He will do something that's like kind of trendy, and I feel two ways about it, because on the one hand, the cynical part of my brain says like, Rick, you should be above this. You're just like trend hopping and you're supposed to be the one paving your own way. On the other hand, I know Rick's motivation with this. He said as much with like the Doc Martens and the Converse collabs that he did, that he wants to infect these other brands with his brand. And he sees it like black cancerous, mold spreading through them. And that's kind of cool. Like I kind of mess with that mindset. Because I think to some extent it's true. It's like, oh, you got the regular Converse guy to dip his toe into the turbo weapons or whatever. I actually had a follower reach out, shout out to Jose about the flat sneaker. He picked them up and he said they were really comfortable. So I kind of mess with them. I kind of want to get some. So beyond collabs, beyond hopping on trends, I also see brands, this is obvious, but they're just doing the luxury fashion thing of like artificial scarcity and raising prices to just absurd levels. So like more recently with like Louis Vuitton, partnering with Pat McGrath for their makeup line, just charging the $160 lipstick thing, just charging insane prices because that's the marketing, right? And I did it too. I made a video about it, and I was just a funny video. I wasn't like outraged, but I know what they're doing. Like the pricing makes people make videos about it, right? Can you believe they're doing this pricing? But also like people are like, I think I want to buy into it. You know what I mean? Like let's see if it's actually worth it. And since it came out, people were actually kind of positive on it, which is kind of funny because there was a lot of negative backlash when it first dropped. So the problem with that is that all the other luxury brands are going to see it and they're going to go, let's crank it up, baby. I was just seeing someone in the Louis Vuitton subreddit complaining about this, how it's going to affect every other brand. No one's making you buy it, but if you liked Chanel, Beauty, whatever, I don't mess with that stuff, but you're probably going to see your prices go up, and that kind of sucks. You're going to have to probably go somewhere else. And we've already talked about the issues with e.l.f. Cosmetics. Watch that video too. I got to sit up straight. Posture's bad. That ain't good for YouTube. The algorithm. Along with what we talked about collabs is artificial scarcity. And, the sneaker thing was huge on that. Like, Nike knew what they were doing when they were doing these super limited runs of things because, people complained endlessly about it. And I was part of that crowd too. Look, the other thing I'll say about anything that I'm complaining about today is I am a full-on participant in all of it. So I'm not like casting judgment or whatever. guilty as charged. Okay. I'm just kind of I just want to talk about it. It's also just kind of interesting. So whatever, as much as people complain about artificial scarcity, I think they kind of love it, because I see all these posts nowadays about like, can you believe these Jordan 1 collabs are sitting on shelves? Or, I would follow some people who would like cop sneakers live or whatever, and they were like, this shoe is washed or this shoe sucks because it was not selling out. And if that's your metric for what makes a shoe or a piece of clothing good, man, that's dire, I think. You know what I mean? Like, that's just totally divorced from having a sense of personal style or whatever. Like, that's just you wanting to buy into hype. Now, that all being said, again, the algorithm, the machine of all of this, I think it infects our brain and makes us think if something is not selling out or that it's unwanted, that it's not cool, it's not desirable, right? If something is cheap, it's obviously not that good, right? So the fact that those Louis Vuitton lipsticks are $160 a pop makes you go, they must be pretty good though. Or if I buy them, somebody else will see them and they'll know I got it going on, right? I've got the coolest thing. And again, we are down bad if we're thinking about things that way. And I think there's, again, silver lining. I think there's starting to be a backlash against that. But all that is to say that artificial scarcity is fake. It's all fake, right? I'm gonna hypothesize 3 things that are to blame for what I'm kind of feeling here. The algorithm, as we've talked about, social media, and capitalism, which, again, not getting into politics. I'm just saying, like, it's an effect. All of this is an effect of capitalism. It's all what we're all talking about. But whatever, we're talking about luxury goods here. We all love it. So I want to branch out and I want to talk about some other things I'm seeing. Going back to the food example that I talked about, the very strange restaurant. Another place opened near me that was equally confounding to me, but it came out before, so it was not as extreme, right? It was ostensibly like a smoothie place. They just make smoothies, fresh juices, whatever, but they also had like halal rice plates and like gyros and stuff. And I was like, is there some connection I'm not aware of between like gyros and smoothies? They seem totally different to me. Man, sound off in the comments, by all means, if there's some proud tradition of this, but it just felt so strange. And as I was looking through the pictures to see if it was any good, because I like to try new things, I noticed like half the images were AI generated. And I think, that's another pillar. I should do like a pillar of fakeness, and one of them obviously is AI. But that plays in the algorithm, I think. And certainly not making things any better is the fact that AI slop is everywhere. We talked about it with the J.Crew video that I did, and I'm, again, guilty. I use it in my day-to-day work, so I'm not casting any stones here by any means, obviously. I think, when I go to somewhere that I want to like eat or check out, I'm like, I want some level of authenticity. And I know that word means nothing, right? Like, actually, I kind of hate it. The way people use it to talk about like, this new restaurant's really authentic. It's like, what do you mean? Like, authentic to what? This Italian restaurant's really authentic? Does it taste like Italian food? Does it taste like Italian American food? Some of the best Italian food I've ever had was made by like Mexican dudes. You know what I mean? So let's, who cares? I think it kind of means nothing. Tikka masala rocks, and it's like Indian food made specifically for Americans. Pad Thai is like an Americanized dish. So let's all just admit, we just want the goods. That all being said, I want to feel like the food, the restaurant, whatever, has like a passion and a vision behind it, and not just like, this'll appeal to everyone, or this is like a machine. This is something that we've like carefully analyzed and like, this will get us the widest like market spread. Man, as I'm thinking about this, I'm realizing just how like I'm kind of carrying 2 thoughts in my head at once, because I do not like overly manicured stuff. The perfect, this is crafted just so for social media. That's for some reason my mind is lumping them together, but they're kind of different, right? Another thing is the virality, the social media algorithm aspect of food in general, the social mediaification of everything. It's really getting on my nerves. And again, I am victim to it, okay? I see the thing on Instagram that says, check out this viral Dubai chocolate pistachio donut latte. And I'm like, damn, girl, that sounds good. But I think what's getting under my skin a little bit is I live in a small city, okay? I'll take trips to New York and I make like a little list of like places I want to go check out. And they're all those kind of viral, viral coffees, viral pastries, whatever. And I'll wait in the lines, I'll do the touristy thing, whatever. What I've started to notice, I went to a coffee shop here that just opened, and they had some interesting stuff. It kind of felt like the city. They had like a Dubai latte, they had like a Biscoff latte, all these like trendy things. When I got there, the line was out the door. In my town, that is a BS. Just because it's like we're not the city, guys. Leave the city stuff in the city and let us have our, there's no benefits to living in a small city if you're just going to make me wait in line for 20 minutes or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not. Maybe this makes no sense. I guess I just mean like those restaurateurs, God bless them, they figured out how to make something viral and they went for it, man. They were like, okay, here it is. Here's the formula. And that's what I think this all boils down to for me is a formula. We have figured out a formula for making something go viral, making something trend, making something scarce enough that people are going to line up out the door and it's going to drive up hype and get us in there, whether we're talking about sneakers or clothes or food, or drinks or whatever we're talking about. I guess, again, I have no shade on the coffee shop that I'm talking about. I actually think it's kind of dope. But I wish it didn't feel like it was like sculpted in that way. I wish it felt like it came from a genuine place of creative spark. And I can't tell you that it doesn't, because we never know what's going on inside somebody else's head, right? I can't look at a piece of art and necessarily say, oh, that was made cynically or whatever. You know what I mean? Going back to the Rick Owens example, like you could look at that one way and say like he's just trying to hop on the trend. Or you could look at it and say he was inspired by this and wanted to twist it a little bit. Every piece of art is a reaction to what came before, right? So, along those lines, I also want to check and make sure the video is still recording. Yup. Along those lines, I want to delve into hobbies. And art in general. I've seen some articles talking about like people Gen Z rediscovering hobbies, which I think is very funny. I think a lot of our lives have been sort of tainted by this whole thing. Social media in general. And capitalism. And what I mean by that is, so someone I know started to do paintings, okay? Just little cute paintings for fun. And multiple people, including myself, again, I'm guilty too, looked at them and immediately went, you could sell these. Oof. Down bad. Terrible. Take a lap. And I say that because everyone is on this like grind set, capitalist, maximize algorithm mentality. And it's the death of art, I think. Again, no shade if you're trying to sell your stuff. That's cool, man. I would love to monetize this channel, maybe someday. Subscribe. But anyone you talk to, I think, will agree with this, that as soon as you start to make art for money or do anything for money, it kills your love of it. Which really, it really does suck. And I'm sure there are some exemptions, but I think by and large that is true. And what really sucks is that our immediate knee-jerk reaction to doing a hobby or involvement in some activity, making art, whatever, our knee-jerk reaction is to try and monetize it. Or at the very least, try and commodify it, put it on social media, whatever. This is true of like the fitness industry, right? I'm a person who is a gym enthusiast, a lifting enthusiast. And I posted 2 stories today of my gym experience. It's because I went to the gym twice today. Get that grind, boys. And I hurt my back. It feels really bad. And to some extent, you're just sharing your life with people, whatever. But, I see a lot of people who are trying to like make a big like TikTok splash or something by being a fitness influencer or a food influencer like we talked about. Again, I have made food videos for fun, just to like, hey, we're going to this place, let's record it or whatever. But I watch a lot of that content, people reviewing food in their car or whatever. And I gotta tell you, I can't think of a worse kind of hell. I watch a dude who just pounds like the crumble cookies of the week or the Buckeye brownies boxes that they get. And it's like consuming thousands of calories in one sitting, just mashing Cheesecake Factory into your face as your job. And again, get your grind, but like, that's gotta suck, man. And then to do it, you have to like, you know, run for 10 miles afterwards. There's an account that, quite frankly, I think is like downright toxic, where a dude eats, you know, massive amounts of food and then shows you how much he has to run to burn it off. And I don't know how much of it is real or fake, but the dude is running like 20 miles or like, you know, marathon levels, and like, you know, after eating a Vermonster of ice cream. That ain't healthy. And also it's like kind of disordered eating, orthorexia type behavior. Like you have to make up for the calories that you eat. I mean, granted, if you're eating that many calories, you do, or you're going to be 600 pounds. But then you get your own TV show. So all that is to say, like, that's not real. That's not a real way that people engage with food, right? It's made up for the camera. It's a TV show, essentially. It's a modern day TV show. Look at the crazy crap that I'm eating. Isn't that wild? Look at the crazy crap that I'm lifting. The lifting stuff is unhealthy too, because I think we're seeing a lot of young kids, influencers, whatever, who are going to, you know, sub 10% body fat, staying there year round, which is not healthy, just so they can always look good on camera and post about it all the time, and bringing their tripods to the gym and stuff and setting their stuff up. Again, that's some kind of hell, man. You know, to always be performing. Fake, again. You know, I think there's something to be said for turning your brain off and not having to constantly be performing and being in front of the camera and thinking about what other people are going to think of your content, making your life into content. It's just got to be so draining. And, you know, again, a lot of these influencers are using roids and performance enhancing drugs. And that ain't good either. I think, you know, we've seen a lot of like bodybuilders and stuff and fitness influencers die very young. God, I'm going to forget the dude's name. But like, well, I mean, Rich Piana wasn't that young, but he died. But there was the dude who had like the ripple chest. I'll try and put his name on if I can think of it. But like he died, and I don't even know if he was 30. And I think to get these, you know, gains, to get these physiques that these guys want, they are using Tren or whatever. The Tren twins don't make it. They're not shy about it. And it's not good for you. But hey, gotta be an influencer, right? Gotta make that paper. Oh, damn. I didn't even talk about music. God, this video's long. You know, I know this video's long, so I'll try and go fast, but like, even music is fake. Music is fake. And it's that one is really, I don't know what to do about it, because if you've ever messed with like Suno or other AI music tools, the first time I had to do it for work. The first time I messed with something there, I was like, oh, music is done. We've solved music. Because you can just tell it to pump out any genre you want, like that. A couple minutes later, you got a full-on 3.5-minute banger. And it's, look, don't crucify me. It's pretty good. You can even take stuff, like a buddy of mine is a musician and took some of the stuff that he did and like got it to remix his song in like a slightly different way and like change vocals and stuff. And he's like, I love it. I'm never going back. And he's a musician. So your mileage may vary, but the other thing is like, you know, Spotify's made a big splash and ruffled a bunch of feathers because like they are promoting fake artists on there. I had to laugh because, you know, a lot of the music I listen to in the gym is like lift heavy bro stuff. And I came across this one playlist that like, I don't think it's AI, but I looked up the name of the artist or whatever. The band is called Fearless Motivation. And it's not a band. It's like, I looked them up because that name obviously is not a real artist. And they have like a website and it's like, we will make your motivating, you know, weightlifting song for you. So it's like, you know, I gather the sense that like Spotify pays them a very small pittance for rights to this fake music that they can put out there and like bump their numbers up and recommend it in playlists, which is how I found it. And the music's like kind of funny. It's like the lyrics are like pretty bad. I don't think it's AI. I think it's just like churned out corporate slop. But they're getting caught for this more and more. And Spotify's like number one in the game. Maybe this is why, but like you guys don't have to do this, right? Actually put those dollars into making your service better. As we've all seen, the you know, year-end Wrapped or whatever is, it's terrible, man. It makes no sense and tells me I listen to stuff that I definitely do not. I listened to a song like one time. It was on like my top 5 plays, whatever. It's just another brick in the wall, to make another musical reference, of this whole fake cultural nonsense. And then vibes. We have to talk about vibes. vibes are fucked. This is one of those ones that I waffle on a little bit because I am certainly someone who's like, hey, let's just curate a vibe, bro. But I think sometimes there's this concept of aura farming or whatever that like guys and gals want to get into, right? They want to create a persona for themselves. And again, I get it. I'm guilty. Sometimes I'll be like driving in my car, right? And I'll be like, I want to feel a vibe today. I'm going to put on Portishead Wandering Star and I'm going to throw on some sunglasses. I'm just going to like feel like the main character energy today. And that's cool. It's like I don't know. I feel like it's like a psych yourself up type thing. What I don't love is the fact that it feels like you're not being your authentic self. And also, sometimes it just comes across as a little weird. I've interacted with people who have been like, they're just not friendly. They're like putting on a mask and they're interacting with me like, yeah, okay, no, I'm fine. And I've known this person in other settings where they're not like that. I can't tell you that like nothing was going on with that person that day or whatever, but it just felt like they were aura farming or trying to put on a costume of how they want to behave. And ain't nothing more cringe than that. I don't think it's crazy to say that you should be your authentic self. Even when I'm like wearing a ridiculous bleach vomit t-shirt and, you know, wearing black nail polish and trying to look like, I don't know, a reject from the Warped Tour or something, I still try and be like nice to people. I don't know. Maybe that's goofy. My thoughts are a little disorganized on that. But I guess all I'm trying to say is like in a world of fakeness, it's cool to be real with people. So just think about that. Don't let the algorithm make you into something you're not. So I promised a silver lining at the end of all this, and I think what it is the person I know who started painting, I actually started painting again around a similar time. And it wasn't anything like set in stone or planned out. It just kind of happened. But I think it was a natural reaction against everything else that I'm talking about. Wanting to make art for the sake of making art, divorced of social media or AI slop, just like a return to making something. And I guess how I would want to kind of cap this off is I challenge you. I really want people to embrace authenticity. Coming back to fashion, like I don't hate it when I see like a group of people who are all dressed the same or whatever. It's trends. It's always happened. But I think it's really cool if you can stand out a little bit. Part of what I love about something new in fashion or culture or whatever is that it is unique. You know, I kind of want to make a whole separate video about nostalgia, but we're talking about like the swag era coming back. And I'll look at videos from even like the early 20s or 2000s or late 90s. And I'll see all these like, you know, Justin Timberlake or whatever, or Christina Aguilera. And it feels like, I'm sure it's just nostalgia tugging at my heartstrings or something, but it feels like there was a little bit more of new things happening, new experiments being tried. And right now, everything kind of feels like lifting from this decade and this decade and this decade. I know that's not new, but I struggle to, I think the things that are new are much more few and far between. God, man, I was just thinking about like Labubu's, and I know the trend of like that kind of thing is not new, but like the form factor of a Labubu is like kind of new and different. Do I like Labubu's? Good Lord. So anyway, very long, winding, ranty video summed up in try to be original and try not to, you know what? I issue a challenge to try and start a hobby or create something and not post about it. Just do it for yourself. J.D. Salinger was part of some mindset. I can't tell if it was like a part of his religious beliefs or whatever, but like he wrote a bunch of stuff with the goal of it not being released until like 5 to 10 years posthumously. I actually don't know what ever happened with any of that, but the goal was to like create stuff with no reception to it, to just create stuff for yourself. Again, we talk about me being guilty about this stuff. I'm terrible at this, and I'm trying to get out of it. I seem to only want to create things to like show other people, but that's why it's a challenge, right? To create stuff and to do it for the love of creation, the love of doing something expressive from ourselves, without the curation aspect, without the, oh, everyone, look at my vibes today. I saw an article saying that like Gen Z is posting less and less on social media. And if that's true, I think that's kind of dope. I think maybe they also are sick of everything feeling fake. And this is maybe their way around it. But we'll see. Long winding rant over. Did anything that I say make sense? How do you guys feel about it? I really do want to know what you think of the whole thing, if that resonates with you at all, because I feel like my thoughts on it are very hard to articulate. Why I kind of feel a little iffy on just participating in all these cultural things. So do let me know how you feel about anything that I've said in the comments. And while you're at it, like the video, please do subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. See you guys.